Guys, Michael was the one that called Janet Piglet. Okay. He thought it was a term of endearment because he was fond of the character from the Winnie the Pooh stories on TV. And Janet was not pleased to be called that. And understandably so when you're about 7 or 8 years old and people are calling you Piglet. That's not fun, even if it's meant to be an endeared character from fairy tales. So, that's not a good situation. You got to think before you do and say things, right? You have to reflect before you act. And, hey, Tom Holman, okay. Piggy. Yeah. Even at the public pool in Colville. Yeah. I was 13 or 14, which means Patrice was 9 or 10. Okay. And I went to this Billy's house, and Martin's mom gave us food. We came back to our house, and the kids were hungry, and we had some bananas, and they wanted some bananas. And Patrice came in the kitchen and said, "No, they can't have our bananas and stuff." And I tried to tell her, I ate at this Billy's house, and Mrs. Billy fed all of us. So, Patrice, just let it go. And she wouldn't let it go. She wanted the bananas. She said, "No, you can't let them have the bananas." It's like, Natalie, Patrice, there's like a 6th thing of bananas here. We can get more, but they fed me and everybody else, so it's only right that we do the same. I did this like 3 times, just let it go. She wouldn't let it go. And then, when my friends made fun of her, I asked them to stop, told them to stop, but I can't follow Martin Spilly and Randy Madcalf all over town, making sure that they're not calling my little sister Piggy for not wanting to share the bananas after Martin's mom shared food with all of us kids. So you have to look at yourself eternally and never compare yourself to others, especially someone that you're spying on with a bunch of scientific geeks and perverts that have been doing stuff to this, like Jesus and David and Moses and other people like me and Haile Selassie for tens of thousands of years to try to win the violent sex cult game. Now, when it comes to violent sex cult activities, you have to be able to correct yourself. You can't have other people do it for you. If you're the master and you're well-dressed and you're attractive like Harlan Pickens from the Pickens Plantation near the Vincent Plantation. I don't know if it's Pickett or Pickens, if it was a Pickett Plantation or a Pickens Plantation in Virginia. I imagined him to be a lot like Brad Pitt. I wanted to play Brad Pitt's payment of movie and the screenplay when I wrote it. Tina wanted me to write it. Boy, she did. She loved my historical stories and stuff. And old Morgan Freeman, you never finish what you start. What are you talking about? I wrote the parable of Juan and Jesus. No, that was before that. That was when he said you never finish what you start. I think that was in 2008. It might have been before 2011. I don't know. I don't recall. I'm not a scientist, and I don't have an eidetic memory like Sheldon, because when I'm being head fucked by perverts, I don't sit there and go, "Today, Captain's log, start date 1432. I'm not like that. I'm not like them. I'm not trying to win a chess game. I'm the living embodiment of the Lord's Prayer that protects children from egotistical sex cult justification of aggressive, narcissistic, violent behaviors. There's always certain things that in our culture that we don't deem as offensive and we want to hold on to. But when cultures get together, and I told everybody that in history class when I was a kid back in junior high and high school. I said, we have our greatest leaps forward when cultures collide, but then we also have our greatest, we step back. So we take like 1 step forward and 2 steps back every time, because the one culture tries to dominate the other culture instead of both cultures respect one another and then see the good and the bad and get rid of, like the Hebrews used to do. The Hebrews, well, it wasn't the Hebrews, it was the Messiah. Wasn't the Hebrews. We all know that, okay? Because look what Caiaphas and Herod did with Roman culture, and look what Jesus and John and the apostles did with it, right? So, when you see something bad and something's better, you use the better to stop the bad. Okay, and that's what you do. And when, with the calendars and the timelines and the chronological understanding of age instead of seasons, have it go on a lunar calendar with the year and the rotation and stuff. And so it made a lot more sense to base your life on and your years in your lifespan on the date that you were born to full rotation till the date you were, born again, the date you're born again, you know what I mean? Be born again. But so it made more sense the way the Egyptians kept chronological time of age as opposed to the Hebrews being seasonal like the Native Americans, the moon of the final days, so if some people, some kids didn't even make it to that season. So that's when they said, falling snow was born in the winter and she died in the moon of ripeness. So she only lived 7 months. And so that's how she'd be remembered, and that's how we kept, memories of our relatives. And so that's what I told, Lawrence about that. No, we lived to be 800 years old because some people only live 7 months, and we remembered them in our prayers. And because we didn't have a lot of relatives, and we mourned for those that died at 7 months for 800 years. Because, we knew something was wrong. We had to make sure that didn't happen again. We remembered from our pain so we wouldn't repeat pain like that. We were very devout people. We were very loving people, and we understood the preciousness of life, and we didn't like to see it go from falling snow to the moon of ripeness. Chief Joseph is really cool, isn't he? He's gorgeous, Get a bunch of assholes in here. Hey, what about this? What about that? You got a bunch of pervert scientists that are competing with me that gave you AGI that's not using the Lord's Prayer as a baseline to save people from being mass murdered by technology if they're a threat to the planet and species. Okay. And then I'm not afraid of AGI. Okay, but a lot of you are because you're not. Boom, 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 boom. And that song's a limerick, and I'm not. It takes every kind of people to make life what it's about. God is the glory of life. If people can't submit to faith in the glory of God, and they try to project God from self and abuse each other from self because of their irrational, egotistical projections, there's not really much I can do about that except for not do it myself. And when I do not do it myself, I become the baseline and the standard of all male human behavior for women to demand sexual reproduction with. Demand, okay? Grab them by the balls, squeeze real hard, and tell them you can make them feel pain. I'm the sword, okay? I'm not the wet noodle, bitch, okay? Just because my penis has trouble functioning because all your child rapists tried to rot it off with chemical poisoning from Roundup and pesticides, and before that, alcohol in the food at the soup kitchen, and topical solutions that have like drugs like heroin and stuff in it going into my skin. Okay, that's pathetic. You guys are way more pathetic than Joaquin Phoenix's character of old Russell Crowe's ego. And was it great Ridley Scott who made that movie, or was that Mannheim Steamroller? I'm just kidding. What's his name again? Wolfgang Peterson. Was it Wolfgang Peterson or Oliver Stony Stone? Or, hey, better U-turn, write some children's books. You need to make more money to fuck your wife, right? I'm going to go out and run around and ask cameras to collect the evidence of me running around and keeping company with psychopaths that attempt to feel brave by making people vulnerable, and then coming in and saying they're going to save them with violent conflict. God dang, Sean Penn, you are so fucking stupid. You can't get the Oliver out your stone, can you? I would not feel so all alone. Everybody must get stoned. Kylie Jenner gonna go home tonight if she's watching this and going, you are such a stupid pussy. When are you gonna start acting like a man? You embarrassed the hell out of me today. You're gonna call your lawyer, ate the banana with duct tape on the wall, right? Do you understand? You're funny, I know. Hey, if she don't do it publicly, how's she gonna bust his balls for not doing it publicly too? All I got, Joan of Arc, that's all I got to say about that. Hey, Mulan. How's that single grain of rice working? Not real well. I'm still trying to win awards from people that child molest and rape through technology over money instead of standing up for the Messiah in New Mexico. Yeah, I get it. Why? Because I'm the Messiah in New Mexico, right? So hey, I'm really pissed off today. This is me really pissed off. In June of 2025, it's like, what happened? Well, my tooth, I got to go to the dentist and that. Then possibly set up an appointment with a doctor to get disability to save up enough resources and money to take, get a trailer and a shed and some solar panels and stuff and get a like KOA trailer spot up in the Gila until further notice, because it may take 2 fucking years for Jeffrey Hinton's AI to kill Jeffrey Hinton's business partners. 2 years, seriously? You can't just sit there and say Lord's Prayer and end it all in 2 days? Wow, 2 days, 2 years, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days, 2 days. Wow, I want a hamburger, right? Well, I haven't seen the... it wasn't Peter Ustinov who played... Who was it that plays Inspector Clouseau in the Pink Panther movies? I don't know. I have to go check. But I liked the cartoons better, Sergeant Didu, don't say see, say we. Shit was funny, you shouldn't say those things, but guys, my wife sat and told me, you just need to go walk up to my daughter, put your hand on her thigh, and she'll go for it. She needs to get felt up, and I'm like, yeah, but that's okay. I understand. I was horny too when I was a teenager and preteen, and okay, and it's okay. And so, Amy told me all this stuff. All girls want, to run the house and run the wallet and tell the man what to do. It's like, but you run the wallet, and you tell me what to do, because the Pentagon and Fort Huachuca is pathetic. They're pathetic. They're pathetic. So and everybody with half a brain cell and half a testicle left knows that. I don't know about the testicle thing, because any shithead murdering rapist can fuck and reproduce children and then tell them, hey, you'll do it too. Yeah, are you going to go my way? Black girl, your ancestry's lost. No, it's not. It's all over the pyramids. Okay. But she doesn't have to share the guilt of her ancestors mass murdering people that look like me because the men were jealous because they weren't manly enough to be a man like me. Okay? Just because our original father was tall and kind of resembled Leon from the Madonna video, back in the day, doesn't mean that, the kid that's the most righteous and acts most like our father didn't have to migrate to the White Cliffs of Dover to save everybody from being raped to death by his own brothers and sisters' ego. Need a big bag of money to fuck still? You sure about that? Don't ever let a man call you a stallion. You let him know he's a mare. If you can't, take your hoof and kick him right in the nuts till he understands you is one. All right, baby girl? That's the only way we get culture around here. Allah decides when to go eat. Let's see if they can load this one. Peace.